God damn it. Jesus Christ.
There was a certain mystique that cloaked the diseased filmmakers like a shimmering white mist. Among their contemporaries, they were objects of awe, fascination, even reverence. But what was behind the cloak? What were they really like? Perhaps the best way to answer this is to look first at their work. In these rare vintage film clips can be seen the germinating seeds of greatness. Even in these short, early works, keen yet poignant commentaries on the dark side of the human condition are strikingly evident, as in this scene from Teen Drug Slaves. Sophistication on such a lofty psychological plane, coupled with an almost Bergmanesque concern for symbols, was characteristic of these early years. Over and over again we are confronted with the recurring symbolism of the corruption and overindulgence of American society. A prime example is the early experimental film, Puke Shit and Die. When they weren't wielding weighty symbols, they exhibited meticulous directorial craftsmanship, evidenced by tender love scenes, suspense, futility, fear, drama, and the list goes on. But always there was a sense of quiet, unassuming dignity, artistic tranquility, and the kind of cinematic maturity seen in the later works of Renoir and Kurosawa. Yet, even in sedate majesty, the diseased filmmakers managed to make the screen crackle with a subtle, dry humor of extraordinary wit. In short, they did with pictures what Noel Coward and George Bernard Shaw did with words. Intricate, delicate visual puns executed with grace and inimitable style. As here in Brawl of the Incredible Buck Brains. Far and above their most outstanding achievement was in the high-tech arena of special visual effects. Influenced by such movies as Star Wars, Close Encounters, Alien, and limited only by their imaginations, the diseased filmmakers were able to create illusions of striking realism. But who were they? What were the childhood backgrounds of these Wunderkinden? Dave Hammer. As an infant and toddler, Hammer was aggressive and belligerent. His temper tantrums were stormy, and his cruelty was surpassed only by his craftiness. An evil genius. Dave Levine was an unwanted, unloved, and unhappy child. Despised by his family and unable to make friends in school, he retreated to a world of his own and seldom, if ever, spoke his mind. Mike Meredith, much like Levine, was always a shy child. An uncompromising scholar, Meredith soon earned a reputation as a bookworm and avoided social situations. A sickly child, chronically insecure and easily intimidated, meek little John Persons, or Grape as he was nicknamed because he could be squashed as easily as his namesake, loved to play the violin and help his mother around the house. So the question remains, how could a collection of such detestable children evolve into a renowned, furiously luminescent creative force? The answer lay in their commitment to each other. There was a bond of love among them stronger than that of brothers, for it was intensified with feelings of mutual respect and admiration. In these rare tapes, recorded on hidden camera, the diseased filmmakers are caught sharing some intimate moments at their favorite diner.
Mike can be a female asshole. Fuck you, and fuck you.
I couldn't stand working with these two for the rest of my life.
The love that they shared could only be described as touching. Of their 60-odd projects, only a fraction remain. Some were abandoned, some were lost, and those that remained, along with their documents, have been locked away in the secret vault of a reclusive private collector, known only as Milton. Upon Milton's death, the entire collection became public. These films are the legacy of the diseased filmmakers.
Oh, we'd made movies before Beanbags, but well, I think Beanbags was our first film. It's a terribly frightening movie. I'm still afraid to watch it by myself.
This element of sheer terror was to play a major role in the continuing development of the filmmakers. Misunderstanding All You See, shot 2 years later, employed this theme while making a broad political statement on the nuclear controversy.
In Misunderstanding, I play the student who becomes a psychotic Neanderthal after being exposed to a radioactive chunk of Skylab. He goes on this rampage and strangles this little innocent babe in the woods. It's really a scary story when you think about it. I mean, I could never picture myself doing anything like that. I still find it terrifying to watch.
Suspense and pursuit. These themes were carried over into the diseased filmmaker's next production, a seedy detective story called Keeper of the Gate.
It was 98 degrees the day we filmed that chase. Well, Mike's always been a little thin-blooded. And Dave and I tried our best to take care of him. We gave him a 3-piece suit that Dave's mother had knitted for the project, and a trench coat to put over that, and a little felt hat. Well, I guess we were a little overzealous, actually. Mike developed this horrible heat rash. It covered his entire body, in fact, and it still comes back now and again during the summer times. I can't ever forgive myself for that.
The summer of '81 was indeed hot for the diseased filmmakers. They were approached by the U.S. Department of Transportation and asked to make a highway safety short. The result was to become a cult classic.
I suppose you've been getting shit-faced with some of your degenerate friends at 10 in the morning. Hey, knucklehead. Well, believe it or not, buckaroo, even just 1 little six-pack can seriously affect your driving ability, kids. Hey! It's always a good idea to get someone who hasn't been drinking to drive you home. But be careful, campers. Other drugs can affect driving, too. Especially those naughty ones that make us bring out and come. And those fucking kids always running out in the damn street. You expect me to stop every time they come right in front of me? Hell no.
With the success of The Bloody Road to Death, the diseased filmmakers became cult figures themselves.
It was embarrassing, really. Having how the starstruck, nubile groupies following us around all the time. Teenage girls would actually throw themselves at us. And then there was that fan club, Silverfoot. just sort of sprang up out of nowhere and showered us with booze, broads, and bucks.
The diseased filmmakers did indeed flourish with the support of Silverflicks, making in rapid succession The Mark of Madness, a wacky farce about the happy-go-lucky inmates at an institution for the criminally insane, Daydream Believer, a raunchy escapade of sex in space, a one-minute version of War and Peace, and many others. And then finally, in the fall of '82, they began production of a truly epic film. Costlier and more ambitious than any of their previous works, The Fool marked the new high for the diseased filmmakers. But beneath all its sweeping, epic grandeur, The Fool, like Gone with the Wind, remained essentially a love story.
My heart turned to slush. I just couldn't flush his image from my mind. I played a woman in love in The Fool, but working with the diseased filmmakers was like being in love anyway.
In the spring of '83 and was an instant hit. The diseased filmmakers were riding the crest of a wave of popularity. At the time, there seemed to be no indication that this was, in fact, the beginning of the end.
Well, it wasn't the drugs. They'd been doing those for years. It was more like they were just getting too old for this kind of thing.
That year, they were to mark their 18th birthdays, and the decline was very, very rapid. Somehow they sensed this, and their films became morbid and cruel, preoccupied with the past.
In the final analysis, in the end, they really did become very twisted. And in fact, for example, as a Christmas present to Dave Hammer, the other three filmmakers made a videotape pretending he had died and got his friends and his family to say terrible things about him.
I hated him, and he's a real jerk. He was a wuss pot. He was a real asshole. He was a real penis breath.
She'd never been born.
Well,
Never been born.
I don't know if I really wish he was never.
You wish he never was born!
I really wish the guy was never born.
All right, Governor.
Can I leave?
See, now that Dave's dead, I have a confession to make. I was Dave's first lover, if you could call it that.
We met in a Dunkin' Donuts. Both of us were eating cream-filled chocolate eclairs. He kind of had that glazed look in his eye.
And you think Dave's legs were skinny, man. You should have seen his...
He was gentle. He was the first guy to ever let me be dominant.
I didn't feel a thing.
But now he's gone. But I'll still remember him. He left me the dog.
And then, suddenly, it was over. The diseased filmmakers just stopped. In the end, it wasn't artistic dissent or clashing personalities that killed them, but old age. Like latter-day Peter Pans, they struggled valiantly to avoid growing up. But time robbed them of their youth, and fate tore from them their innocence. The diseased filmmakers are dead. Yet the images they left behind are truly incurable.
I'm bobbling my lump bum bum to the